universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
The Marla and Dave radio experience begins in 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you're ready, we will begin.
Go. Welcome to the Marla and Dave radio show. This is reality radio with a couple that keeps it real. Current events, pop culture, music, relationships, fitness, the hot topics of the day. Marla and Dave Thomas. This is the Marla and Dave radio show. Real radio.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave Show. I did it.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave Show. Marla did jump out there. I didn't even try to race her this week. It's just something.
You know what, Dave? You're giving up.
The race is not given to the swift,
but the one who wins every week. That's me.
The one who endures to the end. That will be me. Thank you. I'm talking about what God said. What God said is kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Except
anyway,
you don't know the end yet, Dave. You're not there. And right now, I'm winning. Okay. I hate to use Charlie Sheen, but I'm winning.
Please, Tiger.
Anyway, welcome to the Marla and Dave Show. I am Marla, and
that would make me Dave.
Right. Cool. Well, because there's any Marla and Dave. Okay. Anyway, back to the mood song. Tony, hit me.
Wow, that quick, just right off the bat.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. Some old school. I like it.
I can see all obstacles in my way.
Obstacles in your way. You can see them clearly.
You see now that the rain
is gone. I like that.
Clearly.
Tony,
Things
well, if she's
up.
going to jump out there, you might as well hit me too. Don't want her to be alone.
You loved me through my good.
Yeah.
You loved me through my bad.
That's right.
You loved me through my good.
All of that.
And you loved me through my bad. Jesus. You didn't erase my future.
You know what? That's funny that you actually pulled the J Moss song, because there was one that I actually thought of, but it's okay. The show will go on forever, and so eventually I'll play everything J Moss,
me
Fred
through
Hammond.
my good and bad. Didn't erase my future because of my past. I love it.
Let's deal with our week in review. Truthfully and honestly speaking, we've been having quite a time on many different fronts in the mad world. But one thing for sure is that I could save the balance of this for the doghouse, but David and I are both, as you guys all know by now, avid tennis fans.
Avid tennis fans.
So I've been no-dosing it up, coughing it down. Everything's safe to keep me awake so I can see it live. I don't want the Australian Open today.
That explains
replay.
things then, because you're sleep deprived.
Is
so
that what
that
it
would
is?
explain some of the attitudes and some of those things. I get it now.
Well, what I will tell you is
I'm pretty tired right now too.
Well, I think that we were both rested though when you made your bet as to who you thought was going to definitely win. We both had a female, the ladies winner, and the male winner before we even got into the tournament. And
did you want to save this for the doghouse, or you want to just jump out there now?
So the week in review is that we've been watching the Australian Open and just all in it for a whole bunch of different reasons.
That's true. We want to remind you guys as well to stop by www.marlandave.com. Our charity of the month is Access Virginia. Marla, tell us about it.
Access Virginia is actually an organization that is moving to put closed caption in live theater so people can read along when they can't necessarily hear, so they can follow live theater performances, which is very cool. So please, Marla and Dave we support charity, and this is a mad charity event. We hope that you contribute toward
giving back. That's right. Again, remember the phone lines are always open, 323-284-7826. We have a great show planned for you, and we want you to be a part of it.
So,
by calling in.
And today we are welcoming, and here in the studio with us we have Dawn Arceaneaux Pamphille. Ha!
Pamphille.
I mess it up, but she's
no,
forgiving.
You said it right.
She's forgiving, but we live in a world where people are judged by labels when it comes to mental health. These labels can cause shame and keep someone who may be suffering from seeking help and to get to healing. So sometimes that you hear testimony that will change your life, Dawn has one of those testimonies.
And when we come back, we'll get right to it.
You're listening to the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network. current events, pop culture, the hot topics of the day. It's time for Mad News on the Marla and Dave Radio Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
Sometimes you come across a piece of news, guys, that is so ridiculous, outrageous, and asinine that you have to just say, I must bring this to the show and we must talk about it because it's ridiculous. In Darby Borough, Pennsylvania, a 1-month-old baby was hospitalized after losing up to 25% of her face that was eaten after she was attacked by the family ferrets. Ferrets.
Two of the three ferrets.
Two of three ferrets inside her home in Darby, Pennsylvania. During the time, the mother was upstairs. This baby was two of the family. Oh, I'm sorry. This baby was, I think, one of five. But she was in a car seat.
1 month old.
And when they were upstairs, when they came downstairs, the baby was screaming, and they found that the ferrets had eaten away 25% of her face. Now, I say to you, I hate to do it, but really, animals gone wild. Who are you people who are just? I say those ferrets were hungry. That's the next thing. First, they had to eat through a mesh container, and David, do you have family and friends that would have a ferret? Because my people don't tend to.
No. I'm going to say this. When I looked up the story, because I just had to see it for myself, the guy looked crazy, and I was going to say it was more about animal responsibility and pet responsibility, but no. I think something wrong there.
He definitely seemed a little off, and he said when he went to grab the baby's face was all messed up. This is a quote from the father. So I called 911 immediately. I added that voice. That's not necessarily his voice. But his name was Framey, and that's what he said, and that's a mess, and that's our Mad News.
This ain't your mama's radio show. Can you handle the truth? Then get ready for a real radio experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
We told you earlier, we've got Dawn here. We'd like to welcome Dawn to the Marla and Dave Show. Welcome. So, Dawn, this is very interesting because how I came to know about your incredible testimony was through my mom, and I know that you both attend the same church, but we've been having such extensive conversations about mental illness that runs through our family, through Dave's family, just in general, and how we tend to avoid the topic. And when I say illness, the stigma is a problem. And the imbalance is there, but it's something that's coming to the forefront in the news more and more often.
Yes.
And people, it's not being dealt with. It's not being talked about. And in a lot of cases, treatment seems to be so hard. And the next thing you know, you have a catastrophic event or atrocity that has to do with people being murdered, i.e. Sandy Hook, the little children. And then people say all the time, which is really annoying in my book, well, didn't that boy have a family? What, didn't their mother and father know that? Didn't somebody know something?
Right.
And why didn't you stop it? So I know that, those things right now, they need to be talked about. I say that we're talking about gun control. We need to talk more about how to deal with mental imbalance. So I'd love for you to introduce us to you and tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. Well, my name is Dawn Arceaneaux Pamphille, as you said. I'm going to first tell you who I am, and then I'll tell you what I do.
Okay, perfect.
So I am a woman who was delivered by the Lord.
Yes.
That's who I am. I am a woman who is blessed with a great, healthy childhood. I have amazing friends. I have a full life, and I am a former elementary school teacher.
Okay.
And I became a nurse after living abroad. After I finished my elementary school career, I said, you know what? There's no reason why I can't do more than one thing in life. Right. So I went back to school, became a nurse, and now I work at the VA.
Okay.
And so I am the nurse manager for patient-centered care, and also I manage holistic nurses.
Okay.
And my testimony is that, like I said, I grew up in a very healthy home, 2 parents. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. And when I got around my senior year in high school, I started acting really uncharacteristic. I was skipping school. I almost got expelled from high school. My
uncharacteristic to yourself or
to myself?
Okay.
Yeah. I always made great grades, no problem, golden child. And I started acting out of character. And so my parents were like, what is going on with you? What's happening? And I didn't know. I did not know what was happening. So They just chalked it up to kind of bad behavior. And I was supposed to go to school locally to college. And then they said, you know what? You're going to go to Oakwood. And I did not want to go to Oakwood. But I went. And so being away, first I did okay. But then I had a break my freshman year.
So what do you
mean break?
Yes, I was going to say, when we use that term, the terms that come up. So what does a broken dawn look like?
So what happened was I was getting in trouble because I was still acting out of character. So I was getting in trouble. So I had a first offense, second offense. And then they said, if one more thing happens to you, or if you do one more thing, you are in danger of being expelled.
One more thing
or
against
at
the
least
rules.
Suspended, against the rules of Oakwood, which are not hard to break. So
it's a very small Christian university, which we all are
pretty strict.
Yeah, that's in all of our background, and it is very strict. Very, for those of you who don't know, curfews.
Yeah,
that
Marla broke a few rules, and she was.
Yeah, I blatantly broke them. Dawn said out of characteristic. To me, it was in my nature to be a rule breaker. But anyway, back to you, Dawn.
So, the third offense, they said, you know what? You are in danger of being suspended or expelled. And so my dad said, let me make a few calls. He knew a lot of people. And it'll be okay. So he called me back in like less than 2 minutes. And he said, and I said, oh, that was fast. Like, thank you for working that out. He said, you know what? I did not call anyone.
Wow.
Whatever the school decides, that's what it's going to be because it's time for you to learn.
Wow.
And that just shattered me. And the school did decide I needed to be suspended for a while. But that is the best thing that ever happened to me because he said, you have to learn that there are consequences to choices in life. So anyway, because I was always, made good grades and all of this, that really sent me into a depression. I thought literally that my grandmother was going to get a heart attack and die when she found out that I was expelled from school or suspended. And I just went deeper and deeper into depression. I wasn't going to class. I was hearing things. I was actually visited by demons in my room. And I had heard all these kinds of stories. But until it happens to you, you don't really know that. And that's why mental illness is also very complicated because there is a chemical imbalance.
Now, how did you, can I stop you right there for a minute?
Absolutely.
How did you make the distinction at a Christian school
ask the same thing.
where, demons are visiting you in your room versus that being something associated with mental illness?
You can feel it. I can't explain it. I just know that when Jesus comes and visits you, when the Holy, you can feel that. You know it's him. Same thing. When someone from darkness comes and visits you, you know that. So what happened?
So what you're saying is that you actually felt that you were visited, and that's not part of the mental illness.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Wow. So it's like, okay, go ahead.
So what I believe is that there are chemical imbalances. And then as we know, Satan, he will grab onto anything, anything and everything. So what I believe is that he comes in and then he compounds that. You're already in a dark state,
right.
And then he's going to go
shut off
down
every
on that.
light.
Just twist it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was in my room, I was sleeping, and then I wanted to wake up, but I could not. Couldn't open my eyes, couldn't open my mouth, could not breathe. So I felt like someone was, a spirit was literally
oppressing
suffocating the life out of me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard people say that before. And
yes.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm trying to get clear on what people, the thing for me is, even as Dave is kind of asking, the implication is always, girl, now was that real or was that just something you were making up? Because people who don't suffer or who seem to be on the spectrum of norm, which I say, let's just use my mic as an example.
Yes.
The one thing I've learned is this is life's normal spectrum of behaviors. Well, there's micro measurements to what this normal is all the way through here. It's not until someone gets over this side or this side that we go, okay, they're not normal. And the first thing we say to that person about that person is, okay, girl, they're crazy.
Yeah, you crazy.
You're crazy.
For sure.
So does that, so at that point, does that drive you into not being able to, does that further seclude you, or do you share that information, or do you suffer by yourself at that moment in your room with these demons?
I suffered by myself. I didn't feel understood. I didn't know that it wasn't normal to want to kill yourself every so often. Because when someone asks you, how are you doing? You don't say, oh, I'm fine, but I didn't want to kill myself. You just think that, oh, okay, everybody.
And was that your main, that you just felt like you didn't want to live anymore?
Yeah, I felt like that in and out. Okay. And that's one misconception too of mental illness. You're not always in an episode. It's not constant. You could have 4 a year. You could have 2 a year. You could,
Right. It's secular. Because it's like chemical. Your body is a biochemical machine. Yeah. So it's not always pumping the same thing at the same time in the same dosage.
But I think part of the thing that makes it so difficult is it seems like it's not one type of cycle for everybody. So in other words, your cycle might be different from my cycle, might be different from Marla's cycle, might be different from somebody else's cycle. So at that point, it's kind of hard to say where somebody is at any given moment. I guess that kind of speaks to the stigma as well, because if you can't speak about it, how is someone else really going to be able to know until it's gone too far?
Correct. And you don't feel like you can speak about it when you try, and then you hear things like, well, God will keep your mind in perfect peace if your mind is stayed on him. Or what sins have you committed? Because if you really confessed all of your sins and there is nothing in you, then you would be healed, or you wouldn't feel this way. And these are the kinds of things that I was hearing from pastors and elders and spiritual people. Which
always throws me for a loop, and I'll tell you why. No one says ask God for healing when you have a headache. They say go take an aspirin.
Correct.
No one says, I got cancer. They say pray, but they still go to the doctor.
Yes.
But when mental illness is on board, then they say, well, we're not really sure. Just pray and ask God to fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that God can't fix anything. I truly believe that.
God can do anything.
Absolutely.
But until he does it,
it ain't
you
done.
have to manage it.
You have to manage it. And he has given people gifts that that know how to manage it. You would go to your surgeon if you needed cancer taken out. You would go to your, people go to their primary care provider. People go to the dermatologist, the ophthalmologist, all kinds of doctors. So this is another condition, and it needs to be treated.
Okay, well, Dawn, hold that thought.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be right. We're going to come back from the break, and we're going to have more with Dawn. This is awesome, because this is something that is definitely needed even for David and I at this moment. So we appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Hey, guys, listen up. Learn something. 26 years of marriage from two unique perspectives equals 52 years of relationship experience. It's time for Ask Marla and Dave. Answers to your questions about life, love, and relationship based on Marla and Dave's real-life experience. It's about to get real. Ask Marla and Dave.
So this is the Ask Marla and Dave for this week. And remember, if you don't ask, we can't tell. The question is, someone wrote in and said, hey, Marla and Dave, I'm recently married. We are a blended family. When my husband and I were dating, he treated my 8-year-old with endless patience and what seemed to be gentle guidance. After 6 months of marriage, all that has changed. He is fussy, impatient, and downright harsh with my son. I think I've made a huge mistake. I was hoping you could offer me some insight that could possibly save my marriage. Well, I don't know what Marla's going to say, but I'm going to say this. Your first responsibility is to, A, save your son. Your son didn't ask to be in a marriage with anyone. And, it might be a little bit late to try to think about those things, but I think he's the first of your responsibilities.
Drug your husband, slap him in the face a couple times when he's out, and make sure that he never again,
we were hoping that Marla was going to be responsible.
Okay. I'm kidding.
For once.
That's a joke. I totally agree with Dave. Unfortunately, people do change. They're not the same. We transcend, and a lot of the times when we are dating, we do put our best foot forward. And if you have children, that best foot often involves how we treat them, which is why my real feeling is, when you have children on board, I know for myself, coming into a marriage with a baby, I said to my mother, unless someone loves my daughter as much as or more than they love me, and I know I'm a difficult person, then I didn't even date. So I had to know that the foundation was there. So what I'm really saying is sometimes it's worth it to go it alone. It's not about you. Once you have a baby, it's kind of about them and getting them through to a state where somebody else's input will not hurt or harm their esteem or their future.
This has been Ask Marla and Dave. And remember again, if you don't ask, we can't tell.
Welcome back to the Marla and Dave radio show. Marla and Dave want to talk to you. Phone lines are open at 323-284-7826. 323-284-7826.
And that little noise you heard, I was actually answering a phone call. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you're on with Marla and Dave and Dawn.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave Show.
Okay. Well, I guess we don't have a caller.
I would like, before we get back with Dawn, I would like to remind Dave that Tony is our engineer, not Dave, which is why if you were the caller, we lost you because Dave is a host here. He's
That's
not
true.
the one answering the phone calls.
That's
Dawn
true.
is a guest.
Dave did jump out there.
Dave and Marla are a host, and Tony Sweet is our engineer, and he's also our token friendly white man who's always in the room to regulate.
Well, the caller's calling back. Tony, should we answer it this time? Got it. Okay,
Hi.
hey, caller, you're on with Marla and Dave, and I see Tony just needs to be the one to answer the phone. No.
Hello, Tony.
No, you're on with Marla and Dave. Hey, who is this?
This is Don's uncle.
Hi.
Hey, does Don's uncle have a name?
That's Uncle Wally.
This
Uncle
is
Wally. Hey, Uncle Wally.
How are you?
We're doing great.
Good. Well, I called in to also let you know that I've also had some issues lately, and I know it's really hard when same things kind of always seem to be going against you, and it's hard to keep the faith and try to keep yourself positive. What are your suggestions?
Well, I mean, I think my first suggestion is while the tendency, especially when you're going through something, is to keep it to yourself, I would suggest you reach out to somebody that you feel comfortable with, close to, and actually let them know what you're dealing with. And 9 times out of 10, what I've found is that, everybody goes through things. And depending on where you are and the scale of what you're going through, you might get a encouraging word.
And I look at it, Uncle Wally, almost like a crock pot. And when I say a crock pot, the pressure of stress and the things that we're going through, if you have no ability to let any steam out at all, you just, it's like an explosive, you overcook. So I really do think that managing that and really trying to just stay focused on the stress levels and staying positive and connecting in a community or with someone like Dave said that's very close that you can openly share with, does no good for you to be criticized for something that you can't even necessarily help, in some cases not even fully identify, which is what I found. Dawn?
Also, we have mental health care providers. And like I said, we'll go to another kind of doctor if we have a problem. They are there. There are times when I've had to go every week, sometimes twice a week, 3 times a week. But it helps to be in an environment where the person is neutral and you can talk and they can guide you through. Sometimes you need a psychologist. Sometimes you need a psychiatrist. Sometimes if you're in that dark place, you need some medication until you can manage it on your own. And so I'm a big fan of medication, therapy, also going outside, being active. A lot of times when you are down, you do not feel like being active. You want to lay in bed, pull down the curtains, get outside, exercise, try to still eat right, stay healthy, do things that bring you joy. Normally when you don't feel that way, and also know that it will not always be this way. It sounds like a cliche, but this too shall pass. The darkest time is just before the dawn. That is true. You will not always be in this slump, and you haven't always been in it before. So there is light. There is light on its way.
Well, Uncle Wally, I hope that helped.
Yeah, it helps, and it also helps that our family, we have a family of faith, and I just want to let everyone know that I do practice those things, but it helps because my family is a family of strong faith, and that's also helped try to get me through this dark time.
Well, I'll share this with you, Uncle Wally, with some of the things that I've been going through lately. I can confess and testify that it is only by the hand directly that God has shown me that I'm even sitting here, because I've been under this, Dawn speaks of an oppression, just managing things that are so far outside my 3-dimensional human understanding and league that it's insane. So the mere fact that I'm even sitting here doing this show is a testimony, truthfully and honestly speaking, because when you love, and those of us who are the people who are closest to us, our children, our family, you love them harder and more than you could ever imagine loving yourself even. And when somebody that you love on that level is, you can't turn it around for them and you can't help them, that's even worse, I feel like, so I understand the family dynamic, and that's something that I'm glad you mentioned the faith situation, the faith family.
Thank you, Uncle Wally. We hope this kind of helped relieve some of that stress and pressure, and you can always call back. We'll definitely be praying for you.
I thank you very much, much.
Thanks for calling in. Thanks for joining us.
I think we have another phone call on the line. Caller, you're on with Marla and Dave and Dawn.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Brown.
Hi, Elizabeth Brown. I'm Marla Thomas. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Marla and Dave.
Hey.
I don't really have a question. I just really have a comment. I just wanted to commend your show as well as Dawn, just allowing your listeners to hear this good news, and that there are support systems and there are people out there that feel the same way they do. And, including myself, I can totally understand what's being talked about today and just depression. So I just wanted to really commend the show and thank you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for listening. And we are equally, Dawn has no idea what a massive personal blessing that she is even now to us. And if it were not outside the boundaries of the Marla and Dave Show, I would actually kiss her. But I'm not going to, because
it's not too late.
It turns into a whole different kind of show.
It's not too late.
And we're not Howard Stern, so I'm not going to kiss Dawn, even though I really would like to.
But thank you for calling.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to say one more thing to Uncle Wally and everyone out there.
By all means.
The Lord is always with you. And sometimes you have to come out of that and you realize that he was always there. But that knowledge, even trying to wrap your mind around that. And also the word is life. The word is alive. And so finding promises that God made. There are some things that we pray for and we have to wait for his answer to say, okay, does he want to do this? There's some things he's already said, this is what I want for you. I want you to be in good health. I want you to prosper. Mental health is a part of health.
So, Dawn, I have something to ask you directly.
Well, Marla's jumping out there.
Yes, I do. I have some questions.
I feel like I got a racer.
Yeah, you already know I'm faster, Dave. We established that. Remember, you're waiting for the end. I'm going to talk to Dawn right now.
Wow.
What are some of the labels that you hate to hear? Like,
oh my goodness. I'm so glad you asked me that.
See?
Yes.
I need to know because,
yes, I am prepared. So some of the things that I hate to hear are snap out of it. Pull yourselves, up by your bootstraps. Believe me, no one likes to be depressed. No one is like, yeah, I'm in an episode. Holla. No, it's not tight.
Right.
Excuse me for laughing, but that was
it's
funny.
Not tight.
It's not. Now, when you are manic, that feels good, and that's another part of it. You don't want to get medicated because it feels good, and you can do a lot of things. However, hold on. I brought things that you should never say to people.
All right,
okay?
Let's hear them.
Okay, God will keep you in perfect peace if your mind is stayed on him. It is assuming that the person's not a Christian. It's assuming that the person's not praying.
Oh, don't worry about the music.
That's not.
Give us a little hint that we might have to come back and do this after the break.
Okay.
Hold that one because these are very, very important. One more.
It's important. Always someone off worse than you. There's always somebody off worse than you.
And who cares right now, because I don't feel good now.
That's
and it's
right.
me. I'm in it right now. Wow.
So when we come back, Donna's going to continue her list of things that you just shouldn't say and that when you're a person suffering, you hate to hear.
And maybe she can also tell us what we should say.
I have that too.
Awesome.
Right. We'll be right back.
It's time for the Marla and Dave Doghouse. Marla has something that should put Dave in the doghouse. Dave has something that should put Marla in the doghouse. You decide who gets a biscuit and who gets busted and ends up in the doghouse.
Okay, this is the doghouse. Marla's been constantly itching to get here. She was talking all through the doghouse preamble. But Marla, why don't you go ahead and start?
This is going to be the first time in the history of the Marla and Dave Show that not only is Dave going in the doghouse, he's taking one of the Marla and Dave family listeners with him. Dave's getting in the doghouse today with Sandra Hawkins because the point that I was trying to make to Dave last week was about tennis, but it was really directed at Dave's hard-headedness. Hard-headed when it comes to not really taking directions, but faking like he is, but really challenging you on everything you say. That was kind of the point, which is really Dave's issue. So he took it to the tennis thing. He made a prediction, and his little beloved Roger Federer got his butt spanked, and he's gone. As I said he would be.
Okay, well, that's
so
why
he
Marla
and Sandra
thinks
Hawkins
I
are
should
locked
be
in the doghouse.
I'm going to say Marla belongs in the doghouse strictly because of hypocrisy. Marla will actually walk around and say, hey, Dave, Federer's not in and your guy's out, but so is her girl. She voted for Azarenka to win as the female champion. So she's in the same exact boat, as well as Marla. We've been going through some things. We've been kind of talking about it. And Marla, suddenly, when she snaps out of it, she'll say, what's wrong with everybody around here? And it's like, really? Well, the same thing that was wrong with you yesterday is still wrong with us today.
Maybe Dawn has a list of things that I shouldn't say. I'm going to find out if she can help me,
so
as she helps all of you.
I'm saying Marla goes in the doghouse, and I see, first of all, I know Sandra's already with me, and Tony's saying Marla goes in the doghouse, too.
Tony's not saying that. He just said Marla. It doesn't even say Marla in the doghouse. It just says Marla. Tony's giving me a shout-out. What's up, Tony?
Anyway,
how you doing, boo?
Dave gets the biscuit. Anyway, back to the show.
What's the action?
You'll laugh. You'll learn. You'll learn. You'll get mad.
Shut up!
You'll get happy. But you won't be bored. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
All right, with no further ado, I want you to recap. Let's start. Dawn is giving us a list of things that you shouldn't say when someone is suffering with mental imbalance or going through, and then she's going to give us a list of things that will be encouraging that you should say. So go ahead and start at the top again, just in case.
Yeah, it's that important.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Never say, God will keep you in perfect peace if your mind is stayed on him. Never ask, what sin have you not confessed? And on that note, in the Bible, the disciples asked Jesus, Rabbi, why was this man born blind? For somebody that he was healing. He said, was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins? And Jesus said it wasn't because of his own sins or his parents' sins. He actually said this happened so the power of God could be seen in him. So some things just happen so that God can work.
Right.
And some things don't have an explanation. And that's something that people need to be comfortable with. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know why. Just be there.
If you did, you'd be the creator. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Do not say snap out of it. Do not say there's always someone off worse than you. You do not care in that moment. Don't say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Do not ask if someone has tried chamomile tea. That is real. Do not ask if someone has tried St. John's wort. Do not say, believe me, I understand. I was depressed once for several days. There's a difference between feeling depressed and being clinically depressed.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. Do not say if you kill yourself, then you're going to go to hell.
Wow.
Because Jesus can't save you. Here are some things that you can say that are very encouraging and helpful. I'm here. Simply, I'm here. I'll try my best to understand. There is hope. There is help. You matter. I can't say I fully understand, but I can offer compassion. I'm sorry you are in so much pain. I will not leave you, and I'll take care of myself. So don't worry that your pain hurts me. Sometimes when you're in pain, you're very concerned that your pain is hurting other people, and so you withdraw. And it's something that is good to hear, that your pain's not going to crush somebody else.
That was a word.
Yeah. Also, nothing can separate you from the love of Christ. You're engraved in the palm of his hands. And also a discussion on medication. Don't try to beat around the bush. Just be straight up with it.
Yeah, because see, that's where it becomes a little difficult because in my experience, that's when someone's actually in the midst of an episode, they don't really want to hear that either.
You don't want to hear anything. You don't. Okay, it seems like people don't want to hear things. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
If you're really down, if someone says I'm here, you're not going to get thank you. I really appreciate that. You might be like, you might get a, you know what, whatever. But it's still going in.
So it's our response the normal response that I'm looking for, I might not get.
You're not going to get that.
But it's still helping.
Correct. It's still helpful.
So how did you get to a diagnosis, and how did you get to a place of complete healing?
Yes. First, I was misdiagnosed as having clinical depression. So that story I told you about when I got really low, I had to be escorted off campus by campus security straight to Huntsville Hospital, ER, and then I ended up on the psych ward of Huntsville Hospital.
Did you attempt a suicide?
I was suicidal.
Okay. Because you talked about it enough where they were like, this needs to be managed.
Yeah. And actually, I did attempt suicide. I did. I tried to run and jump out of a window. So the whole campus knew, and here I am in the hospital as a 17-year-old freshman. And my dad came, got me, brought me home. So at that time, I was diagnosed with clinical depression.
Right.
After a while, I came back to school. And over the years, you know, there's a lot that happened in between. But I've been inpatient probably 5 times in my life. You know, intense inpatient, you know, on a locked unit therapy.
Right.
And so at one point in one of those visits, I was diagnosed properly with bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And then that's when they could get the medication right, or at least start to get the medication right. And that's when things kind of turn around for me.
Can I stop you right there for a minute?
Absolutely.
Now, when you say I was properly diagnosed, what you were diagnosed before, but it was improper.
Yeah.
So was that the wrong medication? Was it making it worse, or was it just not working at all, and that made it worse? Or explain that a little bit.
Well, clinical depression is different than bipolar disorder. So bipolar disorder, another name for it is manic depression, right?
Okay.
Or manic depressive disorder.
Right.
So most normal people, here is the ceiling. This is how happy you're going to get. And this is how sad you're going to get. Unless there is some kind of abnormal event.
Right.
Someone dies, someone, you know. For people that have bipolar disorder, you go through the roof. There have been times I haven't slept for 3 weeks. Not 1 week.
What?
Not 1 week.
Really?
And I thought I could you feel like Wonder Woman. You feel like a superhero. You can do anything.
And that
you can
feels
go anywhere.
good?
You spend all your money. You do all
Wow.
kinds of things that are unspeakable. This is the floor. And then you go straight down. You feel like, why am I alive? It's torturous. I want to die. And sometimes you don't even have the energy to attempt suicide. You just want to be invisible, and you just don't want to exist. And you just don't want to exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That in itself is when you're in this mode. Was there a pattern for you of sustained highs? Does Dawn, like everybody carries their baby? People say, "Oh, you're carrying in the front. It's a boy," but that's consistent for me between boys and girls. But it's different for everybody. So was there a Dawn range of sustained lows and sustained highs? Did you have a flow? Okay, so was there an amount of time? Like, did you stay manic for? You said you're up for 3 weeks, so it's like
it just depends. Sometimes it's 3 weeks. Sometimes it just depends. But that's why it's important to spread awareness, because I have such an involved family. There were times I'd be like, "You're manic. I don't understand one word that you just said."
You receive that at the time, or were you like, "Shut up and get out of my face"?
Yeah, in the beginning, but over time you're like, "Wow, I am."
Now, is that manic state also associated with delusional thinking or some delusions of any kind?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You know, there are times you feel like you can move mountains, or you can jump off a building and fly, or you can basically do anything. When I say superhero, that's real. That's what you feel like. You feel like.
So there's no boundary. There's nothing. Everything is kind of okay.
No.
So they treated you, and they got the medication. They got the diagnosis.
Did
you receive the diagnosis, or did you fight it?
You know, at that point, I was like, okay, you know, and then you take the medicine, and then you start feeling good, so you stop taking the medicine.
Right.
But that's why you start feeling good. So that's why people need to be educated, and then also, you know, it's maturity too. I always had medication adherence problems. That's just the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
And so was there ever a hopelessness with the diagnosis, where you got the diagnosis and you just felt like what? Almost like people used to feel that way back in the day with an AIDS diagnosis. Like it meant death. Like the minute you get a diagnosis, it's like, oh my God, I'm crazy.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh, I'm insane. So you feel like you don't, well, at least I'll speak for myself. I didn't want to take the medication because I said, I am a unique individual. So if this is who I am, I want to be who I am. And if the medication is going to change my brain, I don't want to take it. But it takes time to realize that it's just making you be able to be your best you. That's right. It's just balancing your chemicals, and that's it. It's not changing your personality. And the other thing is, when you are so used to depression and pain and suicidal thoughts, it's familiar. And so sometimes health and wellness are scary because you don't know what that feels like. And
it's taking you outside of your
scary.
personal
norm.
norm.
Like, I'm good.
Well,
I know what this is about.
We actually have a call. This is
Okay.
such an educational conversation. Caller, you go ahead. You're on with Marla and Dave, and Dawn as well.
Hi, I'm calling for Dawn, actually.
Okay.
All right. She can hear you.
This is Rodney.
That's my husband.
Hey,
Rodney, Mr. David, say his name right. Do it right now.
Pamphille.
No, you're supposed to go French, remember?
Oh, well, no, his wife is not saying it in a French accent, so
Whatever.
I'm going to be respectful. Rodney, you know what? I'm glad you called because a lot of times, we're talking about such serious things. We don't really get to hear from the other side of the person who's actually kind of in it with someone and the support that it
Our loved
actually
ones.
requires for the rest of those of us who love somebody going through. Could you speak to that?
Say again?
Could you speak to that for us?
Well, I guess what part? Would it be just how things are with us, or?
No.
He hasn't been there for the.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
see, and that's what I was
okay.
going to say
I'm
because
sorry.
at this point, at this point, what she was saying is, which is why I said I want to know about your healing.
Yeah.
So, but Rodney, don't go anywhere. If you can hang on the line with us, we're going to go to a quick break and we're going to torture your wife with playing the Mad Love game. As a matter of fact, can we have him on to play with us?
Awesome.
All right, we want to have you play the Mad Love game with us. So don't leave, Rodney. And I'm going to learn how to say your name, Flip Flam it, if it's the last thing I do. So hold on.
It's time to play the Marla and Dave game. Here are Marla and Dave to explain how it works.
Okay, as the usual listeners know, the Mad Love Game was a game created by Marla and I. It has 3 categories, finance, communication, and sex. It's played by rolling a die. It's great with family, friends, just a group of people who just want to have a lot of fun. But the categories deal with things that most relationships have to deal with. Again, finance, communication, and sex. And the die...
Well, relationships with significant others and husbands and wives, not with your children. So just not all relationships. I'm
all
just saying.
relationships. You can take the sex out for your kids.
Oh,
but
okay. So you
I'll
should
put it to
play
you
with
like
them.
this. The die has those categories on it as well as the Mad logo. When it lands on the Mad logo, it's wild. You can pick whatever you want to. So we're going to let Dawn roll.
Oh boy.
Communication.
All right, so Rodney, we're going to pull a card and we're going to let you and your beautiful wife.
Oh, wait, stop. I apologize. That is the sex category.
I need to roll again.
Nope, you know, Dawn.
No,
Put that down, Dawn.
Is what it is.
Rodney, it's your lucky day. We pulled a sex card. Here we go.
I'm here.
All right, I'm going to grab this one. The card says, can a man reach a sexual orgasm without ejaculating? Dawn, do you want to answer that?
Oh, he's here. I'll let him answer.
Rodney?
Rodney, good luck. What happens tonight depends on this answer. No, I'm just joking.
No.
Can a man reach a sexual orgasm without ejaculating?
You want me to be real?
Yes.
You got to be real, Rodney.
No, lie to us.
It's kind of hard because that's the peak for the man. So it's more or less you need a guy needs that to feel.
Well, that's how you know, is what you're saying.
Right.
Well, Rodney,
hold on, because we got to get Dawn's response. What do you think? Can a man reach a sexual orgasm without ejaculation?
I have not been with a man like that, but I'm sure. Yeah, I've heard of tantric sex and all kinds of things, so maybe it's possible.
Yeah, well, Marla, what do you think?
I think that most definitely. I think that you have to define the word orgasm. Ejaculation is about an actual fluid that is, emitted in a sexual act. I think go.
Well, Rodney, I was with you. It makes no sense to me because the semantic of orgasm really was, synonymous with ejaculation. But the girls are correct. The answer is yes, it's possible. Orgasm and ejaculation are 2 separate processes. So one can occur without the other. However, more often than not, they happen at the same time, specifically for men. Anyway, thanks for playing the Mad Love game, Rodney. We're going to actually have you still hang on, and we're going to get back to the show.
I'm so sorry, honey. I apologize.
Never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
Okay, the poll question. Dave.
Are people making a big deal over nothing regarding the lack of diversity in this year's Oscar nominees? The options were no, hashtag it is whitewashed, and yes, hashtag talent is colorblind. So that was kind of confusing for me at first. So the reason why the no, that we're not making a big deal. There is a lack of diversity, and yes, we are making a big deal. Talent is colorblind, doesn't really matter. Actually, 75% of those who voted said no, we are not making a big deal. It was whack. Hashtag it was whitewashed.
Well, next week's poll question is a little bit different. What we'd like to ask all of the Marla and Dave family is to please vote on whether you think that we should move the time of our show. We want to go forward an hour. So instead of starting at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we'd like to start at 5. So your poll question answers will be no, stay, or yes, go.
Yes, go.
Which gives people on the West Coast a chance to participate.
Yes.
So if you're working, see, Dawn says go, flip-flam it. If Dawn says it, I'm out of here. Dawn, I'm not going to kiss you on the show, but if you say go, then flip-flam and I'm going. That does it. I can at least do that. Anyway, so that's the poll question, and we're going to run that for a couple of weeks until we get an appropriate amount of votes so we can really do what's best, because we're really only here for you guys. Now, recently, Marla and I started a Patreon account. Marla, why don't you tell them about it? Patreon.com. First of all, let me explain that this is something that we need your support. The Marla and Dave Show, the Patreon.com gives you a chance to support the Marla and Dave Show so we can cover the cost of production and we can grow the show. So this is something that we're asking for you to participate in. There's no demands. It's really like tipping us because you appreciate what we do. Anywhere from $1 to $5 to $20. And this is something that's ongoing, unlike other crowdsourced funding where you're looking to raise one big lump sum of money to handle one big project. We'd like the Marla and Dave Show to be something continuous, and a whole lot of you doing a little goes a long way. And you can find that at Patreon, www.patreon.com/The Marla and Dave Show. And we thank you in advance for becoming a patron and for your support. We really, really, really need it. Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Can you handle the truth? This is modern American dialogue in a mad world from two unique, fresh, transparent perspectives. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show.
Okay, so we've got Rodney on, and Rodney, we kept you. But in the meantime, Dawn, before we even head out of here, I cannot go anywhere without finding out what your healing moment was. Please share that with us.
I will share. A little background. I've been praying for healing for a long time, since high school. Since college. I said, Lord, you can do anything. All the healing in the Bible. And so one day, this is after all the inpatient stuff. One day I'm at my apartment in Long Beach. I was holding the mantle. I felt an energy, the Holy Spirit, go through my body. I had to grab onto the mantle, actually, because I was standing next to it. I was walking by it. And I heard the Lord say to me, you are healed, but it's a conditional healing. So your new prescription is going to be exercise, sleep, diet, rest. Well, exercise, sleep, diet, and me. That's your new prescription. Wow. And I did not need to take medication after that. Unless it was something like when my father died, yes, I needed to take some medication. Right. Wow. Well, there you go. So, first of all, the belief, and then like we said earlier, and these are recaps. If you find yourself in a position where you just kind of know things aren't right, trust those around you who truly love you to be your guide when your mind deceives you. And then you have to have faith, and then you have to manage until you've gotten your miraculous healing. You have to manage, because it's like I used to tell my children, I can't live over there with you. Your gift is an emotional complexity that allows you to live in both worlds. I have to stop when you go into the water because I don't have gills. So, you have to come over. We want you here with us. But so this, I know Moniece went through a thing, for a time, and this is what it really is. And so we know that we've been affected. Dawn, man, this has been awesome. Rodney, you have a gift in your wife. Is there anything that you see as a residual of Dawn's being afflicted in the past, or is it all good?
Well, it's all good. She's a wonderful woman. can't say anything else bad about her. She's been there for me. We've been there for each other. So this is an all-around good woman. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Well,
Rodney,
if
we
you
wanna
did,
thank
I would
for
put you in
representing.
timeout.
We want to thank you for representing, and thank you for calling the show and supporting
you,
the Marla and
sweetheart.
Dave, as well as your wife, your lovely wife, Dawn.
And next time she can bring you with her. We got a seat here. We would love to throw that dice right there. We could just do some more stuff. Everybody.
You can talk to my boss then.
Okay, done deal. Next week, guys, it's going to be a madhouse. We've talked to Moniece. Now we're going to get, as Moniece calls Drew, Pierre, Frederick, Little Fizz, her baby daddy, we're going to get Moniece, our grandbaby daddy, in the studio, and we're going to find out, put him in the mad hot seat, find out what's going on in his world. Don't miss it right here on the Marla and Dave Show. Join us next week for Mad Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
See you later. We love you. We thank you for stopping by, sharing an hour of your time with us. We'll see you next week.
It's a mad world, and we're here to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Bye!